This is From the Big House to the Penthouse podcast. Stories of addiction and recovery. The lie is dead. We do recover.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of From the Big House to the Penthouse, Stories of Addiction and Recovery. As always, your host is Enrique Cruz.
And my co-host Raul Moreno. How was your weekend, brother?
Ricky, man, I don't think I didn't.
I'm surprised by it.
Like no,
you did like absolutely nothing.
I did nothing.
Did you leave the house at least?
No. I had groceries delivered and everything, bro.
Oh, really?
I didn't even leave.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I just wanted to chill,
dude. That's awesome, man. That is awesome.
What you been doing?
What did I do? What have I done?
Man.
Let me see. Saturday.
Oh no, I lied. I'm sorry. I'm lying to you. I leave to go to the gym.
That's right.
And
that's right, man. You clocked me twice.
Yeah.
Or you tagged me twice.
Yeah.
It's not clocked, it's tagged, right? Yeah.
You know, people think that's so hilarious that we do that, man. But they think that we do it for like their entertainment purposes. But I tell them, in all actuality, we tag each other to make each other accountable.
Right on.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So like,
absolutely.
Hey, I was in the gym today. Are you there?
Who's coming in and who's coming out, right?
So what you been doing, bro?
What I've been, let me see, this Saturday, and I'm going to introduce our wonderful friend here in a couple of seconds. But our special guest, Saturday, I'm happy to report that I think this was my seventh or eighth Saturday off in my career. Yeah, in a row. Yeah. And the shop didn't catch on fire yet. You know what I mean? When I started this Saturday's off, they were like, my mechanics came, listen, Rick, go ahead. We checked all the fire extinguishers, man. You'll be all okay tomorrow. We've checked them. In fact, you know what they did? They had a company come in and make sure they were full and they were up to date and all that shit. And I'm like, I thought it was, I think they were joking, but they were due to get inspected once a year. Yeah. But yeah, this was my 8th Saturday off. And I don't remember what I did, but I didn't work and I didn't stress. I did I think I went and visit my mom, and then Sunday I had dinner, brunch with my mom. And I think that's pretty much it. It's pretty much it. Yeah. It was kind of relaxing, and I'm getting kind of going into my part of my career. You know what I mean? With my whatever you call that. So yeah, that's what I did. I'm kind of kind of less stress free, no work kind of a weekend, man. And I'm come ready to work on Mondays.
That's good.
But listen, man, without further ado, man, I want to introduce our wonderful friend, man. And I've been after her for a long time. Not that way. I've been after her for to come in and and she's been rejecting me. And I was like, come on, Samantha, come on, man. And then finally she agreed. And I'm kind of extending, I'm kind of hype, not what are you saying? The truth. Stretching the truth a little bit, but I have been after her for a while to come on the show, and she's been super busy, but she finally agreed, and here we are, man. I'm very excited to have her.
I'm excited to hear.
Right on, man. So introduce yourself to us, Samantha, to our guest, to our audience.
Well, hey, everybody. I am Samantha, and yes, Samantha Sunshine.
Sunshine. The sunshine comes out when Samantha comes out too. Yes, right.
I think rejection is a little bit of an exaggeration.
Rejection?
Yeah, you thought I was rejecting you.
You were. But
it wasn't rejecting. I was just like, putting it off.
Oh, putting it off a little bit. Yeah.
I didn't want to do it,
me, man. I always have to exaggerate everything. I'm sorry.
Right. That's okay.
Okay. Work with me here.
I'm
a work in progress, Sam.
Yeah. But I'm here.
Yeah. Cool. You are here. That's the applause again, Mr. Engineer.
For having me.
again, I want to, but good. I'm glad you finally accepted our invitation. I'm very excited, man. I've been looking forward to this. I want to hear your story, man. And I want to hear, you have an exciting story. I've heard you share your story with us before in our group, man. And I'm going to tell you something else, Raul. Samantha's very involved in our program, man. I envy you. I envy you. And I don't know if envy is the word, but I am either, kind of like proud envy that you put so much effort and time into your program. And not just that, man, but she just gives so much back. I want to give you a little props here before you get started and before you start sharing with us. But man, Samantha gives so much back to the program and to the addict that suffers. I mean, she just from collecting. I saw your Facebook page, man, and you're collecting coffee for the convention and just everywhere she goes, man, she takes pictures with everyone and she just makes everybody feel so special. And I think that's wonderful, man. And I wish one day I can get there and grow up to be like you one day, Sam. Yeah. But anyway, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. I would like to hear a little bit about you.
Absolutely. So, I think my story, well, I don't know. We always think we're a little different from everybody else, right? When I was young, I was brought up in a really religious home, and like, I don't know, I wouldn't say like super strict where like I'm getting beat or anything like that, but just like we don't break the rules.
So religious people beat their kids or something? Did I miss or
no? I
no?
just mean like strict, being strict. Like if I broke a rule, I wasn't getting beat.
Oh,
is what
right.
I should have said
Right.
like that.
Right.
You know
I
what
was
I mean?
like, so y'all were Catholic,
but it was
huh?
like, no, you don't break the rules.
Joking.
You
Right,
know what
right.
I mean? So for me, I was always like a super goody two shoes. Super goody two shoes.
You were square when you were younger?
So
Really?
square. So square. And it's like, for me, I know why now. I don't know, because we, the religious upbringing that I had, like I was just scared of what was going to happen to me if I broke the rules.
Like from your parents or somebody or who?
The church.
So you went to it. So you were at a church school, or what do you call that?
No, it wasn't a church school, but I was just our family was like always Sundays and Wednesdays and everything.
Really?
You know what I mean? And so I was always scared of going to hell.
Right.
So I didn't ever want to break any rules, So I really didn't start doing anything until I was like 18 years old. And I remember that was the first time I had a drink was on my 18th birthday, which I still felt a little bit of guilty about, but I was like, I'm an adult now.
So before 18, you did nothing.
I didn't do anything. Nothing,
right. Okay.
Ever, and what I did actually when I was 18, I have a sciatic nerve pain. And so someone who was very close to me and my family gave me pain pill. And it relieved my pain, and I always was like, if I only, basically my idea of addiction was that if I don't have any physical withdrawals, that I'm not an addict. And so I would put these stipulations like only take one a week or only take two, 2 or 3 days in a row, and then don't do any for a week or two, and all these like stipulations.
Is this when you were 18?
18 years
so
old.
At 18, did you had an understanding of that there was addiction out there? Because I didn't.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Sure, because when I was a kid, we had like the DARE program, right?
Yeah.
And then like my I don't know, it was always like if in my mind, the first time you get high, you're gonna be an addict.
You're done.
You're done. It's over. And
You smoke pot.
You're
yeah.
living under the bridge immediately.
So was this what they taught y'all in school?
Yeah,
Is this what they?
That was my understanding.
That Miss Reagan, man,
That
she's messing up kids early on. No, I'm joking.
So,
Isn't this why?
No, I thought I had
Reagan,
beat the
Ronald
system because I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be dependent on it because I'm not physically dependent on it. So
and you're gonna spread it out.
I'm spread it out.
Yeah,
that was my plan.
Okay.
And I loved the way it made me feel because, like, at that time I was working at Jack in the Box, and when you work in fast food, you got to run around all day. You're on your feet.
Sure.
And I was like, Speedy Gonzalez running around doing 5 things at one time, no pain, no problem.
So at 18, when
superstar.
when you took this pill, you felt a difference, and it wasn't for that pain that you actually were taking it because it made you work harder. So for you, let me ask.
Well, it was a little rationalizing on
On
like,
both,
oh, I'm in
right? So
pain.
right,
But also when I take this,
I feel better.
Yeah, I'm no good when I'm in pain. But if I take this, I can work with it. With
You
the
know, I
pain.
can relate to that, Raul, because one time before I got addicted to the drug of my choice, um, I remember there was a hurricane that was coming. I was already an adult. And this is about 16 years ago, I think. But there was a hurricane coming, and before that, I got hurt, and I was taking these what do you call the for pain? What do you call them?
Vitamin?
Vicodins, right? There was these white pills, and I noticed that when I took these Vicodins, man, I could move, man. I was just moving. I was like,
Yes.
and people were telling me, man, what do you mean they make you like, energy? And they were like, man, it made me sleepy. I was like, no, man. So the more I would take, I remember I was like nailing it, putting windows up and all
Yeah.
kinds of shit. And then when I came down, I was, really. So and so you and I are a little bit alike the way they affect us then, huh?
Yeah, it was like an
Okay.
upper for me.
Yeah,
and
me
I felt
too.
like the best employee
Superman.
ever. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Superwoman.
So, I was doing that for a while, and then I started getting scared because I was like feeling a little dependent on them, or I was thinking about them a lot, and so then I'd go a month or two without any. And anyways, that continued for like probably about 6-7 years.
That long?
Oh yeah, well,
Really?
but wait, there's more.
There's more. Yeah, we're infomercial here. Order now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd go, a few months, or I'd go on like a year or so.
Uh-huh.
And then about 7 years in, I had an experience. I was going through a really rough marriage, and it was toxic on both sides, right? I can't like put all the blame of responsibility on one person, but it was just very toxic, and I was unhealthy. And so I had gotten into a car accident. And that was my excuse, because I had what do they call it? Wasn't like a broken ankle, a sprained ankle. And they say that if you sprain your ankle, it can be worse than a break.
Really?
And this was terrible. And that was the excuse. I started just downing them like, like Skittles. You know what I mean? I ended up taking like 15 a day on a daily basis for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, it was bad. And I was very physically dependent by that point.
Right.
But still not really seeing the problem. I mean, there was only a problem when I was out.
Oh yeah.
Right. So when I had it, I thought everything was under control, but really I was getting sloppier and sloppier and more dependent on it, And I just didn't see that. And so eventually I started smoking crack. And my thought process, well, I'm not physically dependent on crack, and you can't get physically dependent on cocaine.
Right.
So this is better.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had done the Vicodins and the pain pills for like 10 years. And then the last 2 years, like I gave up my home and I moved in with my mom, but I still had maintained a job and a car and some things like that, like normal adult responsibility type things, except for that last year, And then I started smoking crack. And within 3 months of smoking crack, I was out of my mom's house because I stole her car.
That's not good.
No, it was not. I was
People don't
gone
like
for
that.
5 days. And so she's like, no, you can't stay here if you're going to be doing those things, And so I was like, fine, I don't need to stay here. And I started sleeping under a fucking bridge.
Wow.
Maybe within for the first week, I was like sleeping in all kinds of random places, And then it was just like, whatever, I need somewhere to sleep, lay it down. And that's where I started staying, was underneath a bridge within like 3 months.
So at the point that you were taking pain pills, what, I mean, I know you just didn't wake up one day and was like, oh, crack. Or did you?
No. I was dating a guy. I didn't know when I first started dating him that's what he was doing. Although I did know he had some kind of drug problem. And
that's attractive to us when we're doing other drugs, right?
Well, in the beginning, I was
way.
like, this is going to be a really bad idea because I know I have a drug problem, and if he has a drug problem and then we get together, it's going to be a super problem. But eventually,
you didn't think it was going to be you didn't have, let me ask you this. You didn't at any point when you had a feeling that he was doing something that was might be interesting, right? At any point, did you say, man, this is going to be kind of good? You know what I mean? With his problem and my drug problem, this is going to be a good deal. No? Or did you go into this going, it's going to be, this is a fucked up deal, man. I'm not going to,
In the beginning, I was like, I wouldn't date him because I was like, this is going to be a bad idea. In fact, our first date, he took me to the movies and then he was like, hey, I got to make a quick stop when we were leaving the movie theater. And he left me in an apartment. I mean, in the car in an apartment building for like 45 minutes. I didn't even know what the fuck was going on because his ass was in there smoking crack and he was stuck.
Huh.
He was stuck. He couldn't come out. I was like, oh no, I'm never.
Yeah.
What do you mean stuck?
Oh, you get stuck. Yeah.
Well, maybe you don't know, but whenever you smoke
yeah,
you just get like stuck. Like you can't go.
You can't go nowhere. You got to stay there, man. You got to
like
keep. You got to keep getting high.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but sometimes people get high and then they just like people do weird shit when they get high, right?
Mhm.
Depending on how your trip is,
Right.
So I was like, no, I'm not gonna date this guy. Well, he ended up helping me get a job.
So what happened that night?
I went home and I was
You
like,
just got out of the car and said, fuck it, let me, I'm gonna walk home or I'm gonna get home. But you left the car there.
Home. He took me home.
So he finally came out.
He finally came out. I was like, oh, this is terrible. This is horrible, right?
You noticed it?
I had never had experience with people who smoked crack. So I did not have any idea what was going on. Hindsight, now I know what had happened that night.
Yeah, right.
But I was just like, he's a terrible date.
Yeah. This sucks, man.
Why would you do this? Why would you leave me in this car for 45 minutes?
This speed dating sucks.
It was bad. So anyways, I had lost my job and I was looking for somewhere to work and he helped me get a job because we had worked together before. That's how we originally met. He stopped working there. And then we had, I think that's probably, I don't even remember when we had that first date. But anyways, later on, he helped me get another job in a similar field. So that's whenever I was like, oh, he had been clean for maybe a month. Why? Because he hadn't had a paycheck. So I was starting to see a different side of him. And I was like, oh, and then I started liking him. And then as soon as he got his first paycheck, he was back off to the races, which was the same pattern that he had at the other job. But, I was being, I don't know, willfully ignorant, maybe. So he would go to these crack houses and stuff, and I would hang out there, and I was high on my own shit, but I wasn't smoking crack. And then I was out. I was out of my pain pills, and when you go through that withdrawal, it's horrible.
Oh yeah,
so bad, especially when you're like 15 a day. Like it's terrible. So he convinced me to smoke with him.
Okay.
And that's how I did it for the first time. And then I was like, oh, I've been doing this all night and I don't have any kind of physical withdrawing. So sure, let's do this from now on.
Sure.
Yeah. And then he and I ended up separating, breaking up, whatever. But of course, by that time I was hooked. I was enjoying getting high too much, So I just started doing my own thing. And that's when I ended up stealing my mom's car and being gone for 5 days. And then I ended up returning the car. And, my mom's like, you're not going to be able to stay here until you get some help. So I was out on the streets for like 2.5 years. And I had lost all communication practically with my family. In fact, my grandma was really concerned. I mean, my whole family was really concerned. Right. But my grandma was really concerned, and she hadn't heard of you, or I guess she had only known you through your business and through Facebook. And she had asked you to help me. I'm sure you probably remember that. I
remember, yeah.
And you reached out, and I probably blew you off, and I was like, no, I'm good. I don't know. I don't want what you're selling. You know what I mean? I was not interested at that time. So I did that, and it was really horrible. It was so miserable, but by that time, I didn't care anymore. And I was just basically like, this is how I'm going to live my life until I die.
No shit. You really thought that?
I thought that I was going to die an addict like this. Yeah.
Wow.
But I was resolved to it, and I was like, okay with it.
Yeah.
Which is insane, right? And so eventually what happened was I was dating a guy at this time. His name was Ken. And we were walking to go get some dope because I had $20 in my pocket. And I heard a noise as we're walking down the street. And I turn around to ask my boyfriend, like, what was that noise? And before I turned all the way around, I got hit by a car.
You got hit by a car?
So the first noise I heard was my boyfriend getting hit.
Oh, shit.
And then I got hit.
Holy shit.
Yes. So Ken was hurt really bad. And basically I knew he was not going to survive. So by the time the ambulance got there, I had this money in my pocket and I was like, I am not going to the hospital because I super need to get high right now. And so I didn't go. And that always like fucked with me for a long time, and I've been able to like, make amends to myself for that behavior. You know what I mean? But, yeah, so I went and got high all night that night.
So he did eventually pass?
He did, actually. I was walking back to or fro somewhere, and I noticed all these cop cars blocking off the road. And I went up to one of the officers, and I said something like, do you know, I said, it was us that was hit, and do you know how my boyfriend is? And they told me that he had died.
That was how much longer after the accident happened? How long?
Maybe an hour.
Okay. So after about you went and got the drugs and got high, and then you walk back.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
so you didn't get hurt? You got hit too.
I did get
but
hit.
You got hit, but you didn't really.
I
you
was
were still
so high, I didn't know what was wrong with me.
Okay.
So I got high all night that night. And then in the morning, I had called my mom that night and left her voicemail. I was like, this happened. So she called me and she convinced me to go to the hospital. Turned out that I had a broken back.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I was in such a cocaine high. I didn't even know what was going on.
You had no pain
with my body.
Yeah.
And I'm walking around with a broken back all night. So she let me come home. And part of it was like, well, I'm okay because I was taking Vicodins again. The hospital gave me pain medicine, which I didn't really want to take, but I was taking it.
Right.
But anyways, within a week of all that, because I'd went out 2 or 3 times while I'm at my mom's house, which I'm not supposed to be doing, is going, leaving, and getting high. The third time I had left the house.
Did she not? She didn't want you to leave. She wanted you to be staying there,
and
you would sneak out. You would sneak out, right?
Yeah.
Right.
One time I told her like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go visit a friend, and I'll be right back," and that didn't, happen that way. But anyways, the third time I'd snuck out. Nobody had even known I was gone. And I told the guy, I was like, I can only be gone for like 2 hours, then I got to get back home. So the whole 2 hours we're getting high, and I'm so miserable. Life is terrible, and like reality is just really setting in on me, and I could not get high. And then in like the last 5 minutes, we had like just a little bit left. I started enjoying it. And the guy was like, do you want to go get more? And I knew at that moment, like that was it.
Yeah.
Like I could either say yes and I wasn't coming back, or I could say no and I better stop doing this shit, And that's what I did. I said no and I went home. And so for 3 months, I just sat around at the house and didn't do anything right. But I had a friend who was in the program, and they would continuously ask me if I, when I was out getting high, do you want to go? I'm like, no, I don't want to go to a meeting. And he just like, well, whenever you're ready, you let me know. And that's all he would ever tell me. It was never any pressure or anything like that. And so about 3 months in, I'm just like, man, I was always thinking about it. I was always wanting to continue getting high, but I knew it wasn't any good. And I just didn't know really what was going on or what was wrong with me and why I felt the way I felt. So I went to my first meeting, and then I was like, oh, yeah, because I thought,
oh, you're all fucked up.
No, because you know what? I thought an addict was just somebody who used.
Yeah.
I thought when you're not using anymore, you're not an addict anymore. So I'm like, I'm not a freaking addict. Why would I want to go to one of those meetings?
I got rid of this shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah. No. So I went, and the first year or so was like slow. And
what do you mean the first year? So you stayed clean for a year?
Well, actually, I was drinking a little bit here and there.
Oh,
but I
you
was
were on that
claiming,
Johnny
like, a year.
Cash recovery.
Is that what that is?
I think so. Yeah, it
That's what I
didn't.
was
Yeah,
doing.
yeah. So you were drinking,
Right.
but
I
you
wasn't
weren't.
in the
But you weren't doing drugs.
Right. No
Right,
drugs.
no drugs, just
So
drinking.
it wasn't the California
Right.
recovery program where you
Got
smoke
it.
weed and stay clean.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
the drinking.
Okay. Right. I got that straight.
So
Johnny fucking Cash, man. It's like, yeah, keep going. So you were drinking. You said, I'm not doing no drugs, but you were taking a couple of drinks here and there just to
Yeah.
ease off the whatever, right?
whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
So
I didn't
then-
think that alcohol was a problem.
Right. It never is.
No.
Right.
Right. And so, but anyways, I just started working the program. And that shit, man, if you do it, whether you want it to or not, it's gonna change you. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so
Mhm.
eventually I was like, man, I can't keep lying about drinking. And by this time I had really hadn't been drinking in a while
Mhm.
because I'd resolved to myself. I just hadn't got honest with anybody else. So it'd probably been at least 6 months or 9 months since I had had my last drink, but I knew what my real clean date was.
Mhm.
And so I got honest with my sponsor and I went to the program and I got honest with my group. And yeah. And then my recovery really took off from there.
So do you consider your clean time, and you haven't, you've been clean since then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is the little over 4 years that you're talking
Mhm,
about when
mhm.
you came in. So, so do you consider your clean time from when you quit drinking or when you quit doing drugs?
So my clean time is when I quit drinking.
Drinking, right.
But I haven't had any drugs since July of 2017.
Right.
Mhm.
But the drinking is no mind altering substance.
Right. So
since
my
you-
clean
right.
date is in May of
Right.
2018.
Okay.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't understand that, man.
Mhm.
That's where a lot of people get
Well,
confused
here's
in
the
the
it's
program.
because society, dude, the way society is. When I first started to get clean and I came back, and crack was my thing too. I loved it, but and alcohol was also bad for me, and just in a different fucking way,
Yeah.
But the thing is, when I first came back, and of course I reopened my shop and getting clients and getting my client base back and all that, and getting back into the NA program. When I went in, I was embarrassed to say that I never told anybody. I would tell my clients that I was a recovering alcoholic, that I went to AA.
And you wouldn't talk about addict.
I wouldn't talk about NA. I wouldn't say that I had any drug problem. It was AA. And my excuse was, finally I opened up in group. I was like, I don't even tell my clients that I have clients and when they would start friending me on Facebook. But I would tag myself at the meetings. It's like, you go to those meetings, huh? I'm like, yeah, those are AA meetings. They're for drugs. I was like, yeah. and it's okay, man. The earth didn't open up and fucking swallow me, and they didn't give up on me either. They didn't and I was like, so I started talking about it in group, man. I was like, I'm sorry to say, somebody opened up the thing about it, right? And I was like, yeah, well, I don't tell people that I'm a recovering addict. I tell them I'm in AA. And then somehow, little by little, man, I just started telling some of my clients, yeah, I'm a recovering addict, and I started to identify as an addict, a recovering addict, and then little by little, and then it just kind of went out of whatever. And then whoever wants to, I'm not embarrassed. Probably 3 years, actually, after my father passed away, he got even stronger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I actually became really, really proud of myself and my clean time after my father. And that's something that has, propelled me into whatever I do today, or other things too, being responsible at work and all kinds of bullshit. You know what I mean? All that bullshit that,
of adult shit.
all that dog shit, but so yeah, I was embarrassed. And I remember, some of the guys, in our group kind of chuckling when I was said, yeah, man, I don't really, consider myself, I'm embarrassed to say I'm a recovering addict, but that quickly changed not quickly, it took a little time, but it is the stigma that people put on us, you know what I mean? And they just don't know, they don't know that, what, it's in us. It's all in all of us. Some people, Sam, and I was just talking with a friend earlier, man. It's just, some of us, it's an obsession. Me, I obsess over shit. if I like something, I will do it over and over. And let me fucking find a drug that I like, and I'll do that motherfucker until, it's just I'll obsess over it. You know what I mean? I just want that feeling again, dude. When I used to eat meat, when I used to eat like a burger a certain way, I wanted that one just the way I got it that last time. I don't want nothing fucking changed. I want these amount of jalapenos as cheese, and I want it just like that. And you know what? And also shopping, you know what I mean? When I got cleaner, talking about trading one addiction for another, I was buying all these sneakers. And I was keeping the receipts because my sponsor at the time was like, you know what, just keep the receipts, So when you start getting low on cash, you start returning them, keep the receipts. But and he worked with me, you know what I mean? And not to mention I'd go into the sex and all that other stuff, right? That y'all could imagine, But so, a lot of us, we do step work, and I don't do any step work. And I know I've said this before, that I'm kind of like, I don't. I'm kind of embarrassed to say that. And a lot of people in the program give me shit about it. But I don't care. Anyway, back to your story. I just wanted to, kind of jump in and say what I had going on that subject, about the alcohol and drug difference of the stigma.
Yeah, they say, that whole stigma, right? Because like when people think about addicts, 9 out of 10 people don't know that there are recovering addicts.
Right.
The only type of addict they know about is the one who is out there using and stealing your shit and, robbing you and all those things, right?
And then they help you. What is some people say, hey, man, I'm the kind of fucking addict that would steal your wallet and help you look for it. I'll steal your wallet and help you look for it.
So when people hear addict, they don't know recovering addict, right? There's a big difference, right? Yeah. So... No, so I got clean. And I didn't want to work the steps in the beginning, right? For me, because it was like a whole religious issue for me. Like I was
what do you mean?
Right, well, because I didn't realize, I didn't understand the difference between religion and spirituality, and where it talks about certain things in step 2 and 3. I'm like, this is a scam. Y'all are trying to tell me, it's not religious, but yeah, you know what I mean? So I was not okay with that, but luckily, I had a really understanding sponsor, and she is also not religious. So it helped me to find somebody who, I trusted her, like she's like, just we'll get there when we get there. Let's start here. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was able
You're
to
like, I just basically trusted her. Look, Sam, it's not that easy to trust people, though. You're like, I just basically trusted her.
Well,
was it that easy for you? No. But I'm saying, was it easy
time
for you to trust her from the beginning?
Because I didn't tell her a lot of stuff in the beginning, like the whole relapse situation about drinking. Like I wasn't going to tell her. I didn't tell her until I was like 9 months in, or, let's see. I think I got her in November, and I think that I was drinking in May. So whatever May to November was, I never told her about that, and then I waited until step 4 before I finally came clean and told her, like, all right, so I have, had a couple drinks here and there. My rationalization was, well, I wasn't drunk,
right?
I had a little nice buzz, but
I didn't go all the way. Yeah,
right. So that can't be a relapse, right? But no. So I don't know. Something just like eventually, like that step work, like I'm talking about, like it just changed me. Without me even wanting necessarily to some of the things that I was doing, because a big, misconception is like when you get clean, everything gets perfect. You don't have any problems, and you're not doing the bad things anymore. You know what I mean?
Who said that?
Well, that was my idea. Yeah. Like I'll be again, like, not doing anything wrong. We were talking earlier about speeding and things like that. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, don't be putting my shit out there, man.
You put your own shit out there.
I know, man. I'm messing with it. I don't ever speed. I don't ever speed.
But, so I was doing a lot of behavior that I was still doing out on the streets.
Yeah, really? Yeah. After you got clean? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
did you ever see, and I'm going to tell you something that, what, with me and my sponsor, when Eugene, him and I, we worked together for a little over 4 years, right? 3 years. Man, I told him, and this is I was asking you about you trusting your sponsor. I trusted Eugene, man. I trusted him, and I'm gonna tell you that's what saved my life.
Yeah.
But it wasn't from day
I
one, though.
No, it wasn't for me
Yeah,
either.
yeah. That's what she was saying.
It was pretty fucking quick.
You think so?
Yes.
Oh,
It was
shit.
dude, we just hit it off, man.
Mhm.
We hit it off. We hit it off from get-go, man. It was just, I don't know. It was just like this attract. He was an older black man with white hair and a cane. And I don't know why he gravitated to me. I really don't know. But we just became friends, man. And then we just started kind of talking. And then he took, I had another sponsor. And Radio Steve was his name, man. But anyway, with Eugene, man, we started to have some conversations, man, and then we just started talking and just hanging out. And he took me to the beach one time. He snuck me out of rehab. He snuck me out. He took me out of rehab, man. He goes, "Hey, let's go to the beach. Me and your sponsor." He would take people out of the rehab and take them to outside meetings. I said, "Man, I'm not gonna get in trouble." He goes, "No, man, I know the counselor. Don't worry about it." I said, "Dude, you got to tell somebody." I didn't, because I was on. The judge had sent me there. I didn't go on my own, right? He goes, "Okay, let me go." And she went and talked to. He went and talked to my counselor. It's like, okay, I had just been there like 3 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, we went to the beach, man, at night, and we did some step work out there. And I did a little bit of step work at the time with Eugene, and we did it out on the beach. You know what I mean? It was in the evening time. It started getting dark. It was really cool. And yeah. But anyway, what I was saying is that from the beginning, man, I don't know what it was about him. I told him some very intimate things that when he passed away, I have told no one else in this God green earth, man, that he took some things that I told him that I was really ashamed of. You know what I mean? And I trusted him, and that ended up helping me because with women, I told him some things that that I anyway, but yeah. So that was my relationship with him, and it sounds like you had a relationship like that with your sponsor.
Yeah, I'd
Is
give
she the
her.
same one?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd give her like a little tidbit here and there and tell her a little piece of information that maybe I hadn't told anybody or I didn't want people to know about things, and see how her reaction to it was. And and it was always like there was never any like condemnation or judgment or even like lecturing or anything like that, right? So a little bit by a little bit I'd get more comfortable with telling her bigger things. And that's when I told her finally about that the drinking. And she was just like, and I'm telling her, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, but I'm not going to change my clean date. And she was just like, oh, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
You wanted that more time. You
Yeah.
wanted that longer time.
Right.
Yeah.
And she explained to me how your clean date really has nothing to do with your recovery. Right. And it took me a long time to really understand that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things about myself, man, is I don't want to reset that date. I don't know if that sounds like, I'm like, that's my date and I'm sticking to that thing and it ain't changing.
Married to it.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not doing anything that's going to risk me to
There's a great feeling behind that, man. There's a great heavy feeling about that date. And we were talking earlier, man, and I was starting to tell you a little bit that last night I went out to dinner, and I'm going to tell you something, man. I haven't shared with very many people. In fact, just 3 people that are very close to me. But I was out at a dinner last night, man, and I accidentally took a little sip of alcohol, and it just kind of I felt disappointed in myself because it was an accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was an accident. I was, we were in a social setting, man, with some people, and there was a lot of energy in the air and just conversating and stuff like that. And I thought it was a grapefruit juice, and I took it was a small sip, but I still could, I felt it on my lips, and I was like, and I was like, oh, fuck, man. And I was like, who came to mind right away? My sponsor's been gone almost 7 years now, man. But he came to mind right away. He's like, no, you weren't drinking it to drink it. You didn't know it was whatever. You're okay. And that played in my mind, and it made me because my heart started racing a little
Put
bit.
you at ease. Yeah.
It put me at ease that it was something that was an accident, and it's not considered a relapse, and it's not considered anything else because it wasn't intentional.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I feel that.
Right. So I was really cool about it, man, and then I just, I put it to rest, man, and I enjoyed the rest of my evening, and then and it's just like, how they talk about what God does for you. Right after that, man, I was telling you that I don't eat meat, and all of a sudden the general manager of the place remember that I don't eat meat, and they started bringing me my vegan dishes to me. Yeah. And then and I was like, and then I forgot all about it later on. I remembered. So it's kind of really, really cool that I kind of forgot about it right after this. So it's like I said, it's kind of like a God thing that could have happened. Yeah. Yeah. And it was really, really cool. But anyway, continue your story, what you were telling us.
Well, I mean, I just, my recovery really, really took off in 2019. That's when it just skyrocketed, and I do all the service work and things like that. I started getting involved. I don't know. There's just something about it that I get a high from almost, you know what I mean? I mean, it's a lot of fun, and it's also recovery has given me life today, right? And so man, anything that is in my life is because of recovery, and to be able to try to give that back, because I can remember whenever I first, probably around 2019 when I started meeting people that had been coming in and they were newcomers, and I could see that they wanted it, and that I was actually helping them, which I had never helped anybody before, you know what I mean? And I didn't feel like I was helpful. Like we were talking about self-esteem. I have extremely low self-esteem for several reasons. I started off as a kid with low self-esteem, and then I got into an emotionally and mentally abusive relationship for a very long time, which continued to hinder my self-esteem, and I believed a lot of the bad things that were said about me. And then recovery
Do you
gave
still
me
feel that
some.
way?
Hey, but and then throw it, yeah.
I'm a lot better
Yeah.
today. There's certainly days when I'm a little weaker, you know what I mean? But
Understood.
most
Yeah.
of the time, my confidence level, I mean, I'm definitely way better. You know what I mean? But if I make a mistake, I beat myself up about it all day long. I think about it, and I get frustrated about it, but I do a lot better, where it might be a day where I beat myself up on it as opposed to a month or two.
And they talk about, having those self-esteem issues, man. And can you imagine and I will tell you maybe my story because I lived under a bridge too for a little bit, you know what I mean? But can you imagine that self-esteem when trying to get clean and coming back into society, man, and in the back of your mind, you're meeting people and then you're going, hey, and then going, thinking in your mind, I used to live under a fucking bridge before, you know what I mean? And you're like, I wonder if they could see through that, you know what I mean? I wonder if they knew that, or they, blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? It
It's the same like reintroducing yourself. I know when people's like, "Oh, I've met you before." Like, no, you fucking didn't.
Yeah. Well, you see me fucking eat out of a dumpster or something, or what?
you thought you knew me.
Yeah.
And at that point, I let people know who I wanted them to know.
Yes.
Right.
And now it's completely different.
Right.
It's a person that I want to be and who I am. Yeah.
So the thing is, man, about recovery, dude, I'm gonna tell you what, and to me, and I know that a lot of people in the program will not agree to this, but I don't give a fuck. But what I like, man, is being able to call the shots when I wake up in the mornings today. You know what I mean? I like being able to call the shots in my life.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, no, in the program, dude, a lot of people talking about your humility and and it's good to be humble. Yeah, it is. But that's something I'm not. You know what I mean?
The fuck you're not.
I'm not. I am.
Bro, I see.
You think I am?
You do a
lot
lot
of people tell me I'm not. You know what I mean? They talk a lot of shit. You know
well, you
what I
do
mean?
talk a lot of shit.
And then and I'll back it up though. That's the good thing about it.
You do a lot of good too.
Well, I try. I try. You know what I mean? I just here's the deal with Samantha, and you rolled it. When I started to get clean, I had one purpose and one purpose in mind. And I shared this with my sponsor, and he was okay with it. I wanted to get my fucking money back. That was it. I wasn't interested in nothing else. because I was gonna buy my friends and I was gonna buy every fucking thing I needed once I got the money back. You know what I mean? And that was my only goal. And I accidentally got my kids back. I accidentally got
accidentally.
yeah. I share this one time, man. I was in the meeting one time and this cat was in there and he was really upset talking about he touched on something I was very strong about, or I felt a lot of about that. He was talking about, oh, I had to go see my kids in Angleton in this secured home and all this shit, right? I was like, oh, I got to share on this, right? After he was really upset. I was like, and I'm Ricky and I'm an addict, blah, blah, blah. I said, you know what? I went through the same thing, man. And he had an ankle monitor. I never had an ankle monitor, but I was like, you know what? I remember that I had to go see my daughters, Chrissy and Ricky, at a in Brazoria County, in this, like a house where loser parents went, like me, to go see their kids. And that lost their children, right? I call myself, yeah, I do. But I hope you don't know anybody that would have to do that too. I'm not
I was looking for the
here.
right sound effect, but I couldn't find it.
That's what I thought about my yeah. But it was me. I mean, that's what I consider myself, dude, because that's what I did too. So anyway, that's me. So I remember, man, going. I had an hour, I think, and I would take gifts and shit like that, and then walking out. My ex treated me. She would take the girls and then go in the car and leave, and I'd be stuck there going, I'm a loser. But so fast forward, man, and some time goes by in Eugene, man. I remember he's like, man, look, just do this thing. It's not gonna last forever. Blah, blah, blah. And time went by, man. All of a sudden, I wake up one morning, man. I remember I wake up one morning and I'm sharing this to this guy or to the group, but the guy listening, because I'm sharing my experience, strength, and hope. And my daughter Ricky comes out of the room in this house where I'm at that I released. And she comes out, she's like, oh, hey, Dad. I'm like, hey, how long have you been here? She goes, let me see. It's 2 months. She had been here when she got out of school. I'm like, and you're still here? I was like, when's your mom picking you up, man? You've been here for 2 months. Hey, I went from not having my daughters, having to go see them at the secured place, to I'm like, hey, when are you going home?
Go home.
You know what I mean? What an amazing thing, man. You know what I mean? And I said, just look, man, just give it some time.
Yeah.
Give it some time, man. And everything comes back. You know what I mean? Plus, and then some, man. And then some.
Well, like I've heard, right, that whatever gets you clean isn't always the same thing that keeps you clean, which is a good thing, because I was the same way. Like, I didn't want necessarily some of the things I had. Like, I really just wanted to get my family back and my life back together, but one of my, like, what we were talking about, the behaviors that I had, I would use men, and that was my behavior, right? And I would use multiple men.
Most women?
No,
don't most women.
Oh, I'm gonna get in trouble for that.
You better
But it was okay with me, right? It didn't bother me. And then after doing step work, I'm like, this behavior is not okay. You know what I mean? And so I was single I was single since I gotten clean, but I was, with other men and things like that. And
Sleeping around.
Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is.
Right. That's what I was doing.
Okay.
And I didn't have any intentions on ever looking for love. Right. Because I had a bad experience and I was like, this is not what I want. What I need.
So by doing that, were you protecting your heart?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I can see that, man. I can see that.
Oh, it was bad. It was,
right. I'm going to tell you, I was dating this girl and she was in the program and she was the last one I dated in the program. Actually, we weren't dating. We were just,
sleeping around.
Yes. We were sleeping around, hoarding around. Let's just say it what it is. Hey, so this girl, I was dating her and she was in the other fellowship, the one that I would say that I was in, but I wasn't really in. Right. So we were dating and I was in rehab. Right. I knew her. We were before I went into jail and blah, blah, blah. And then I went to the rehab and all that. And I was able to get out. I would get out. Finally, I did some step work and they let me out. I would get out like at 5 o'clock in the morning. They allowed me. I was in Dickinson. They allowed me to come to Pearland. So I would stop at her apartment on the way in and, wah, 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 right? One of them type of deals, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember, man, one morning or after like 3 minutes, I was leaving. That was
Say
a
after
joke.
3 minutes.
That was a joke.
I caught that. All right.
No, man, after 15 minutes.
Oh.
15
After 15 minutes, man, I was, I remember, I remember I get dressed, man, and she wasn't dressed, and she was like, she just had like a bed cover, right? And I remember walking out, man. I tied my shoes, and I'm like, okay, I gotta get to the shop. And right before I walked through the doorway, she says, instant gratification, like that. I was like, I stopped, and I was like, what the fuck did you just say? She goes,
Yeah.
Ricky Cruz. She turned, I remember looking at her. She's like covered up like this. She's like, Ricky Cruz, instant gratification. And I was like, that's what I thought you said. I was like, fuck, man. I left. I was like, oh, I will never, ever forget that. You know what? I never forget it. And it was crazy, man. It was crazy. I remember that for the longest. I will always remember that, you know.
Well, so finish your story. I'm sorry.
You ain't even interested in mine. All right, let's finish hers.
Because she was in the middle of her story.
Well, I
Hers is
had,
more
I had
interesting.
several men
Uh-huh.
for every need that I had, right? I had like an emotional man, I had a sexual man, I had a money man, and I was honest with all of them.
Uh-huh.
Like, we're not boyfriend, girlfriend, and you're not the only guy I'm with,
Yeah.
So at least that part I was being honest about, right?
Right.
But it was not comfortable for me anymore. Like,
Even
seeing
clean?
the damage. That
Even
I was
clean you were doing this?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I started doing step work, and I'd never had intentions
fucking step work.
on changing that kind of behavior
Uh-huh.
until I did that fucking step work. And I'm like, son of a bitch, I can't do this anymore.
Do you think
right?
that's
'Cause the
maybe I
minute-
don't want to do step work because I don't want to? I mean, not that I'm doing anything like, but there's some things I don't want to keep doing. I mean, not that I.
you don't want
I'm
to
so-
change,
I don't want to change.
And
no.
and I didn't think that I was going to. Right? It
Mhm.
just happened. Right? It probably is that, But just start with step 1 and see what happens. Right? Just start there.
Nah, I don't want to change.
Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Look, you know what?
Yeah,
People
whatever
get,
rolls your boat, man.
people talk about people who don't go to programs. Some people use religion to get clean. Some people do programs and don't do the steps, whatever. I don't give a shit what you do. Just don't use.
Right.
You know what I mean? If it works for you, if that's whatever, you know what I mean? For me, like, I've learned that just staying clean is not enough anymore.
Mm.
Right. And then
Mhm.
I want these rewards that I'm getting from doing the step work. So, long story short, basically, I ended up accidentally falling in love.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but
You got feelings.
ooh, but the
Woo!
first thing that I did was I changed myself.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And like, I did shit that I had never done before with this guy, like when he was interested in dating me, and I'm like, let me pray about it first. Let me think about it first. And I did not give him an answer for a month.
Yeah.
I've never in my life done shit like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I had to ask myself, because this is one of the things that I had heard, if that relationship doesn't work out, are you going to be okay? Because I was not looking for a relationship,
Mhm.
and I was given the opportunity to get into one, and it's a really good one.
Mm.
It's a really healthy one.
Did
Oh,
y'all
wow.
meet in recovery?
So
Can I ask that question?
Yeah,
Sure.
well, we were in service together.
Okay.
Air Force or Marines?
No.
Yeah,
my
tell
God,
it.
Travis.
You should have. That should have been your question, man.
I thought
Yeah,
of it, but I didn't say.
come on, man.
Yeah.
Come
No,
on.
but
Yeah.
yeah. And that was one thing. Like,
Commander C.
so I was sleeping with one guy in recovery, and I had known him and had been sleeping with him before I had gotten into recovery. So he was like my one exception. But that was my thing. I was like, I don't date men in the program. I don't sleep with men in the program. Like, that is not something I'm willing or going to get myself into, because I know my track record with men has always been really bad. And a lot of that was because I didn't work on myself ever, So thank goodness, I was able to work on myself, and now I have a really good relationship with somebody. And yeah, he is in the
That's
program.
awesome.
That's
Mhm.
awesome. That's amazing.
That's
Is
really
he as giving back to the program as you are?
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
because we met in service.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations on that.
Yes,
That's awesome.
And that doesn't. I'm gonna pick on this, man.
Yeah.
Not pick on it, but you don't worry that I mean, that you have to worry about yourself, and then you have to worry about that if you've got to be looking over his shoulder too. Does that ever bother? I mean, not bother you, but is it a concern for you?
Like if he sleeps with someone else.
No,
between,
no,
or
not that
what?
part.
What do you mean looking
No,
over his
if he
shoulder?
would if he
Oh,
would
if he
relapse,
relapses?
yeah. I mean, this is one thing about myself, man. I told myself after that one girl, I was like, you know what? I dated some girls in the program, man. I was like, man, no, fuck no. I would never date another girl in the program, and I didn't. And I was like, because you know what, man, we're all alike. A lot, at least in my
Yes.
experience.
Well, I dated some girls that should have been in the program.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's when I wasn't in the program.
Well, the thing is, like, yes, that was always a concern before,
Uh-huh.
but you can always see who is working a program and if they're really at risk or not, because I can usually see somebody who's struggling and I'm like, way before they relapse, I'm like, if this motherfucker don't change something, they're gonna relapse.
He's good at that too.
Mhm.
That being said, he is a little older than me.
Mhm.
And he has a lot of clean time, and I don't have any doubt that he will ever relapse.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, good. I mean,
good.
no, that's great. I'm just like I said to me, we're talking about our own experiences. Nothing with you, nothing with you or me.
Mhm.
Because
You
it
notice
doesn't
how she said
intertwine.
that? Her voice got different, and she was like,
No, that's good. I mean, and it's
like
great to
that
have that
girlish,
confidence.
lovey.
Right.
Yeah,
No. It's great to have that confidence. It's great to have that. I mean, I think it's wonderful. I think it's a beautiful thing. But I'm just talking to my experience. I had all kinds of experiences with because before I met my wife, I dabbled in the system, right? And I just like no, I want something different, man. I
Mhm.
want something different, and then and I do. So and I like it. You know what I mean? And one of the things was man, I would never date anybody in the program, and it was just different for me. It didn't work out for me.
Yeah.
And I told, in fact, the Gordo, our friend, I told him, I said, dude, do the same thing.
Don't put his business.
Oh, no, I'll put it out there. I'll put it out
business
there. Yeah. I told him the same damn thing too.
Yeah.
I talk about him all the time. Yeah. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I never had intentions on dating anybody in the program.
Really. It just
And that was
happened.
another thing. Like because let me tell you, like, just being honest, an honest assessment of myself. I know I'm a pretty person. I know I'm a pretty female, and I've been hit on by lots and lots of men in the program, and it's always like instantly no.
Yeah.
As soon as they, seem to start asking me like, you want to go out? I'm like, look, I don't date men in the program, period, and I shut them down instantly so that they know that there's no
chance.
It's not that there's no chance, but this is my boundary, and I'm not going to cross this line.
Just say the word. Just say what it is.
It's not that they
No,
don't
it's not
have
a chance.
It's just that I don't do that.
Right.
This is my boundary that I set very firm right away. And when it's funny because
So is it just because they weren't cute enough, like your current boyfriend
No,
now? Maybe.
no.
What is it? I want to dig deep. I want to know.
I'll tell you a couple
Sorry.
things.
Tell
One,
me. Yeah.
One is
Get it.
because this is my biggest thing, and this is why whenever you said what you said, my
What did I
biggest
say?
fear has always been that if I go out with a guy in the program, we're going to break up, and the next week I'm going to see him in a meeting with another girl, and that is not something I could handle.
Really?
Oh no.
No.
I will burn that
You'll
fucking
burn the
meeting place down.
Oh, she's one of them.
Hey man, you
Listen,
watching,
I'm not okay with that. And so we had went to the movies, me and this guy, me and my boyfriend, and he had asked me during the previews. He said something along the lines of basically telling me he's interested in seeing me. And I looked at him and I was like, oh. And then I just turned my head and I'm like watching the movie with intensity. Like, this is a great preview. But in my head, I'm like, oh shit. Like, I didn't know what to do or what to say because I kind of dug him. You know what I mean? But there was a lot of things which I'm not gonna say, but there was a lot of things and reasons that I was unsure about this situation. And so I was just like,
so
okay.
he told you in the movie.
He told me it was like
He didn't want you walking out.
beginning.
Yeah, he didn't want you
Maybe.
walking out.
You
Yeah,
think so?
yeah.
Okay,
That's a good
I was
setup, man.
so
You're not gonna walk out of
shocked.
the movies.
I was so shocked though, because I had no idea that was coming, and
Yeah.
it threw me off guard so much.
That's slick.
I didn't know what to do or what to say, because normally I'd be like,
of course.
no, period.
Yeah.
And so because of that, but also I did like him,
Right.
and so I went and talked to a good friend of mine who has great advice. And I said, I like this guy.
Mhm.
I don't want to date him for the wrong reasons. And I want to make sure that I'm doing the right reasons if I'm going to be dating him. And then there's also, some personal things that have been, in his life recently that he's been struggling with. And I wanted to make sure I was doing the right thing.
Mhm.
I've never in my life done that. It was like, is your bank account big or is your dick
For
big?
real.
And the answer is yes.
Or both. That's a
Yeah.
plus.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And so I was like, I don't want to do that with this guy. You know what I mean?
That's
And I had to
awesome.
sit and think about it.
But those are normal questions, though, man. You want them both to be big.
But
Yeah, I mean,
Well-
right? I mean, who wants to? I'm just saying, right? Those, look, okay, look, whatever. But me, I'm gonna tell you, I want a sexy woman, and I want her to have money. I ain't trying, you know what I'm saying? I'm just talking for myself. Roll your eyes all you want, roll.
I ain't saying
I
that.
roll your eyes all
I
you
didn't
want.
say-
I
I
don't
didn't
care.
say
I'm
that.
gonna
Yeah.
say this. At
Right,
the
say it.
time that
Sorry. Sorry.
at the
Yeah.
time that I started, seeing him, and he had said this, I was very financially dependent, and I was okay one way or another. You know what I
Right.
mean? And that has been something that I try to stick to today, because I do not want to be, depending on him financially.
Mhm,
Right.
mhm.
So I work really hard on, we'll go out, and then sometimes I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to pay for dinner tonight, or I'm going to pay for the movie tonight, just because I don't want him to have to always
Right.
be the financial provider.
I gotta talk to my wife.
I knew that was coming.
I
bro.
gotta talk to her, man. Yeah.
Okay, well, you
Keep
do
going.
that.
No,
You
keep
do
going.
that.
No, I'm good. Keep going.
Maybe you should do some step work first.
No, she needs to do some step work.
I'm
I'm gonna get her a sponsor.
Here we
Well,
go.
I told her whenever we first met, her and I told her I was a recovering addict, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had to tell her. She didn't know.
Mhm.
We were in a pool. We were in a pool. It was a very romantic setting. We had candles and all that shit, right? And then I broke it to her, man. I told her that was a recovering. She goes, "What's that?" I mean,
Mhm.
what do you mean, what's that? Is that her?
She heard you talking shit.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was telling her about when I told you about when we were in the pool. Remember when I broke it off to you? Told you that I was a recovering addict. I had to tell you, right? What'd you say?
I said I already knew.
Did you? You said that, but you knew I was handsome, right? What did you say?
I thought I could fix you.
Yeah, right, that's what she said. She goes, "I can fix him." Yeah, yeah,
Yes. She had a project.
yeah. Yeah, big fucking project. Yeah.
She said, "I'm still working on that fucking
Still
project."
working. It's endless. Yeah,
Always a project card.
exactly.
Constantly breaking.
Yeah.
That's another thing, though.
What is it?
Whenever I was, there was a short period of time when I thought I was going to start dating people, outside of the meetings, and I didn't know how to breach that subject with them. I didn't want to date in the rooms. I also didn't want to date outside of the room, so I just didn't date. I slept around with a couple guys,
Mhm.
but they were also guys that had been, consistent in my life for a while. So it wasn't just
It was safe.
Yeah.
it was safe.
It
It
was
was very
safe,
safe.
yeah,
It
because-
gave me what I needed at that time, and
I don't know about you, but I could never. I was never confident to go up to a girl and say, "What do you think about a guy like you and a girl like me?" You know what I mean? Go to him. You want to go get some ice cream? You know what I mean? How do you do that without having something in you? You know what I mean? And I'm talking about maybe drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
Right? How do you do that? How did you do that? I mean, I can, I don't know, man. Getting clean to me, I got all the fucking confidence in the world. I've got a shitload more now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do it. I need to tone it down and step work. I know what you're gonna tell me.
Mm.
Do some step work. But I know, but I could never, dude. Everything was fueled by alcohol. Everything was fueled by drugs. I mean, it was just, and I could never have go up to a girl, like I said, and go, "Hey, listen, you're kind of cute. You want to go have dinner or something?" You
Mhm.
know what I mean? I'll pay.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But it was that self-esteem, issues that I had. I was afraid of rejection. You know what I mean? Who
Mhm.
isn't? Everybody. I'm afraid of rejection today, but I can take it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I take it from my wife all the time.
So,
Anyway,
so with your life,
Mhm.
who has been some of the biggest influences in your life?
Some of the big influences. Well, my family is a
Mhm.
really big part of my life today. My mother has been very supportive. You know what I mean? She's
Mhm.
been there. I don't know what I would do without her. You know what I mean? And then I have a son. He's 15.
Yeah.
And he is living with me now, and I've got him into high school recently. He'd been homeschooled for the last few years.
Oh wow.
So we've got a different routine, and that's been really nice and really healthy. He was struggling last year a lot, and to be able to see the changes, he's still a teenager, and it's a lot of fun.
How old
At
is
that
he,
age,
15?
they gotta be around people. They gotta be around
Yeah,
kids
yeah,
to
he
start
did.
building those social
Yes, 'cause-
skills. It's social skills, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
he's enjoying it a
that's
lot.
awesome. Is he playing any sports?
He doesn't play sports, but he's really active in a lot of different things. He likes motorcycles
Okay.
and he's into mechanics.
Mm.
He knows he's always telling me, like, Mom, let me change your oil and stuff like that. You know what I mean? He's really good because his dad is a mechanic too.
Okay. Yeah.
And so they work together. My son likes motorcycles, so he has like a Honda Grom. I don't know what
He-
it is, but
I know where
he
the
talks
gas
about it all the
goes in cars,
time.
and that's it.
Yeah, so he rides the bikes and stuff like that. Yeah,
So he has a relationship with his dad.
he does. Yeah,
Good.
his dad was there for him the whole time I was gone.
Oh really? That's
So I
good.
really, really do appreciate that. Yeah. that
So
was
his
a
dad
really
is
big
kind of like
thing.
a good. He's kind of like a good dad.
He's a good dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
What is
That's
y'all's
good.
relationship like now?
Now it's very cordial. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like it's very respectful. I don't talk to him about anything but my son.
Well, that's all that needs to be
And that's
said.
all that needs to be done.
Yeah.
But today we can talk about things almost all the time without arguing, But I tell you, the program kicks in because,
Yeah.
today I'm able to set a boundary. I'm like, we're not going to go into that. You know what I
Right,
mean? We're
right,
not going
right,
to talk
right.
about that, And I'm not as kind of cowering as I used to or things like that
Mhm.
whenever, things might be thrown in my face or whatever. I'm just like, I'm okay with who I am today, right? A lot of acceptance for the things that I've done
Mm-hmm.
and realizing that that's not the person that I am.
Right.
Right. I do my best today and that's what I got. And I'm not that same person who I was a few years ago. So it doesn't affect me,
All
So
right.
how does it feel to be at a meeting and see Samantha walk in the door? You from day one.
Oof.
How-
That's a
I'm
great
sure-
question.
I'm sure you see
I
that.
love this question.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
That's the reason I'm in service for real. Because let me tell you, I see Samantha walking in that door, and they talk about like I could not look at people in the eyes. I did not want to talk to people. I didn't, you know what I mean? Like today, everybody knows me as like this outgoing person and I do a lot of things and I'm very comfortable in conversation. I was not like that. And just to let somebody know, like, you don't have to live like that anymore and things can be different. You know what I mean? Like that is a big piece of, and for me personally, my number one thing is service work.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people whenever they come in. Like I'm infamous at my home group. Once you get 90 days, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to tell you start chairing a meeting. Pick a
They
day of the
stay up
week.
like late at night, bro.
10 o'clock meetings
Yeah,
every
10
single
o'clock
night.
meetings.
Oh, shit.
They stay up at night. Freaking 9:30.
We're the latest
I'm asleep.
meeting in
Yeah, she's
Houston.
invited me tons of times. I'm like,
Yep.
no, girl.
So
I'm
y'all
old.
chair at 10?
10 p.m. every
At 10
night.
p.m. Yeah.
And so as
When
soon as
you
you get a
sleep?
90-day chip, I sleep till like noon.
Yeah, badass.
Well, that helps.
Badass.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm like get involved because
Yeah.
that's what saved me, right? In the beginning, somebody was like, here, you chair a meeting, and I was hesitant and I didn't want to, but it kept me going. It kept me clean for whatever reason. Of course I lied a little bit about the alcohol,
Yeah.
but at least I didn't like completely stop going. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna tell you, man. I'm gonna tell on myself, and I know we're running out of time, or actually we passed time, but we're exciting show, man. You brought a lot of good stuff. We want to bring you back again, man. In the
I'd
next
love
couple,
to.
yeah, we would love to have you again. But I'm gonna tell you something, man. I was talking to our friend Ernesto, right? And I was telling him that oh yeah, I'm not supposed to say any names. I'm sorry, but Gordo. But
Like nobody
yeah,
knows who
Gordo,
that is.
yeah,
And
who
if
Gordo
they
is.
didn't before, they know now.
No, everybody knows who he talks
Gordo
about.
is. So we were. What was I saying?
Shit, you were talking about
Oh, I
That's
remember
dope.
now. I'm very proud of him because he's doing a lot of a lot of
Oh, yeah.
service work. And
Good.
dude, he's going on the website or vigilance group, and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna come in and clean."
Yes, I saw
And
that.
you saw that, and we're gonna do
Mhm.
this. And hey, man, who's gonna do the? We need to do some events. And he went up to this some T-shirt
Yes.
bullshit they had in Clear Lake or something. He's like,
Good
"Hey, you
for
coming?" I was like,
him.
"Man, I ain't got
Dude.
time for that bullshit." I told him, right, and I say that on purpose just to fuck with him. But
Yeah.
he a couple days
It
ago,
fucking pisses him off. Right?
yeah, man, I like to watch his teeth grind. But he's like, "Hey, I need some help over there over there at the group to clean the group." I said, "And?" I put "and," and he's like, "What do you mean?" I can already see his face. What do you mean? I can see one eye. Look, man, one eye stays open, the other one closes like that. I can already see it. He said, "What do you mean?" Question mark, exclamation point. And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean? You think that I'm gonna go? I ain't gonna spend my goddamn Saturday over there cleaning the goddamn room." He's like, "You got to give back, man. You got to." I just want to see what he says, right? And then I was like, "Okay, dude, what time?" He goes, 12. I said, "All right, I'll be there, man."
Were
You know what I
there?
mean? Huh?
Were you there? Was it this Saturday or
it's
last
No, it's
this-
gonna be this Saturday
Coming
coming up.
Saturday?
Yeah. He's calling everybody, see who the hell's gonna help. I was like, "Dude, I tell you what, I'm gonna hire you. Your Saturday, you're gonna be off. You're gonna go and clean for me." I got the group. Some of the girls in the group, they're like, "Hey," I said, "What? Yeah, what's up?" "And we need you to give Ernesto the Saturday off. This Saturday coming up." I said, "I'll be a motherfucker." What? They're like, I'm not gonna mention any names. They're like, "We need you to give me and blah blah blah. We need you to give Ernesto
I thought he was
this
gonna mention the
Saturday
names.
off."
That's, I was trying to.
I was
beat it.
like, "For what?" I was like, "Because we need him to be in the group conscious or the something meeting on Saturday." I was like, whatever, man." He told them to come talk to me. Can you believe that son of a gun what he did
I
to me?
believe it. I
You
believe it.
believe it? So
Yeah.
anyway, Saturday I'm gonna be there, man, at noon.
good.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna-
let's. I want to touch up on a couple of things. So,
Go.
what events? Do you have anything coming up?
She's always got something coming up.
Well, in
Here we go.
December, our home group is going to be having our, I think it's 13-year anniversary.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
I just finished a commitment with a convention.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like 2 years that we worked on that. They worked on it for 3, but I got in it in the last 2 years, and that was a really big deal. But right now, what do I got going on? Just probably this home group anniversary, which we're gonna be working on. That's gonna be fun. So yeah.
So there's a person right now, an addict, watching this show or
Mhm.
listening to the podcast. What's your best advice to that individual?
Go to a meeting and get some people's numbers and talk to the people, And if you don't feel comfortable the first time, that's okay. Go again. And if you don't like that group, go to a different group because you're going to find one somewhere
Right.
that you're going to like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't give up on the first one because, we always talk about I did not give up on the first dope man. Sometimes the dope man would give me bad dope, but I could still go back to his ass 2 or 3 times, and then I might find another one.
For
So
real,
do
though,
the same
yeah.
shit that you did when you were using, and use that for your recovery.
So so some of the best resources that have helped you along the way, besides a meeting or besides that, can we say NA?
Sure.
NA.
Besides NA,
Yeah.
oh gosh, I don't know. My whole life is wrapped in NA.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I don't even know if I could answer that outside of NA.
Yeah.
That's my life.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that. There's nothing wrong with that. And
Yeah.
being, like you said, giving back.
Absolutely.
Now you, sir,
What?
you got something coming up. What you got
What
coming
I have
up?
coming up? I
What do
don't
you got coming up next weekend?
Mhm.
Next week?
next
Besides
week?
cleaning.
Yeah, man. Oh,
What do-
besides Saturday, you got
So
to
I
go
got-
clean.
I
That's
got
what you
clean
got.
Saturday.
But you got
that's
you
right,
got a
yeah.
speaking engagement coming
Oh,
up.
Oh,
don't
yeah,
you?
right.
That's right. The
Yes.
6th, man.
Mhm.
I'll be at the
We?
Clear Lake. We will be at the Clear Lake Convention Center.
You know what? We're gonna put
Webster Convention Center. We're gonna put it up on our website.
yeah, we'll put out the information, but Ricky is the
Are you talking about
I'm
Tri-County?
no,
Oh,
this
okay. You're
is
talking
a
about the ball thing, right?
no, it's a gala.
Yeah, gala, okay.
It's
I got the
it's a
invitation.
ball.
Yeah, the ball thing. Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
ball thing, man. I'm excited. I'm very nervous. I've been talking to my pastor. You know, I meet with him on Thursday mornings at 7 a.m. And then I also I'm part of a men's group. In his men group on Tuesday nights. In fact, I've been inviting this little demon over here to come, but he don't want to. Instead, he wants to go do bad things.
yeah.
Mm.
You can
So,
tell
uh,
I
yeah.
got so much bad stuff.
You
going
got all
on.
kinds of bad things going on. But yeah, that's going to be exciting, man. I'm very nervous about it. I was asked to come share my story. I have to say it in 28 minutes. So I've been working on my speech. Yeah, it's gonna be kind of. It's
we'll
gonna be
find the
cool,
information and we'll
yeah.
share it on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, we'll
also.
share it on there. Yeah, so I'll be there on the 6th.
So I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
excited
thanks,
about going
man.
up there, and I'm gonna boo you
It's
if
gonna
need
be
be.
good. Yeah,
You're gonna see me in the back.
yeah. Cut it off, man. Yeah, cut it off. Cut it off.
Nah, so that's awesome, man. I wanted to be sure and spotlight that. We also, man, we missed Ernesto's birthday last week. So happy birthday to Ernesto. And whose
Happy
birthday is it
birthday.
today?
Whose birthday is it today? I don't know. Oh, Ronnie the Molinator. Hey, forget Ronnie, man.
Yeah.
Forget him. No, I texted him earlier. Happy birthday, and that son of a gun hasn't answered yet.
That's a busy man.
He's a busy man. He's a
Yeah.
very busy man. But no, my happy birthday,
Ronnie.
Yeah,
Happy birthday,
Ronnie.
Ronnie.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, enjoy your day, man.
So,
yeah,
Samantha, we appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you for
definitely gotta
coming,
come
man.
back.
Yeah.
You gotta come back because we
Absolutely.
still have a lot
we were
more.
after her for
We
months.
got a lot more to ask and a lot more that we want to know.
I would love to come back. I
Yeah, and you
really
need to tell your
appreciate it.
boyfriend, man. We need to meet him, man, and we ask him to do karaoke with us, man. We all want to get together and do karaoke. We still gonna do it or what? Yeah.
Man, we've
Can
been
he
waiting on
sing?
you to set a
Can he
date.
sing?
know,
That's
I
what I
don't-
want to know.
I don't
And if you
know.
tell me that you don't know if he can sing yet or not, and you're in a relationship with him, okay, you should know if he a karaoke
I
man
feel
or
like
not.
I remember him talking about karaoke.
Yeah.
once.
In a relationship, that's one
So-
of the first rules you're supposed to ask if you're karaoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he have a
Yeah.
birthday too?
Who? Noe's birthday?
Or is he bullshit?
Noe, it was your birthday?
Oh, I think he said he's just kidding. Never
Oh,
mind.
no, chingada madre.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, man. With that being said, listen. So, Samantha, thank you for coming in,
Thank
man.
you.
And
Thank you
yeah,
again.
we really appreciate you accepting my invitation finally.
Well,
And
look,
then,
I've
but
got
yeah,
a
you're a
calendar
busy
out
woman,
for the next
man.
9 months.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So
All
next
right.
year, sometime 2023, I'll be happy to come back.
There you go. All right,
Yeah.
man. With that being said, Mr. Engineer,
Hey, you guys be
Take
sure
us
to
home.
share, like, and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and all our podcast platforms. If you missed this show, it'll be available on all podcast platforms as of tomorrow. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. Samantha,
Roger,
thank you
Dodger.
for
Thank
being here.
you.
Ricky,
The lie is dead.
we do